In my wellness practice, I am seeing so much fear, anxiety, stress, toxicity. People are really, really suffering. And I think one of the reasons people are suffering is because they feel so powerless. And when we feel powerless, we feel frightened. I grew up with movies like apocalyptic movies. And in all these movies, the crisis would be coming to a head, and then these really brilliant people would come together and they would manufacture this amazing solution, but unlikely solution. And then they would find these unlikely heroes who would do things that were almost impossible. And at the very last minute, they would save the day and everyone would be fine. I'm sure if Bruce Willis knew how to save the planet, he'd be down for it. But Superman and Thor are not coming. We are the heroes that we've been waiting for. And the more of us that take action, even the smallest action, the less anxious and stressed we're going to feel. And there is so much that we can do to make a difference. If you're feeling stressed or anxious, it's really hard for you to just be on the planet, to just be in this place of living. And in this place of living is where we have calm, clear thinking that allows us to find solutions, different ways of being. A lot of the things that people do to mitigate their fear and anxiety just create this downward spiral where they're eating bad food. You know, we all watch the commercials that tell us if we just eat some Haagen-Dazs we're going to feel better, but that's not real. Whatever coping mechanism you have, I want you to ask yourself, is this an upward spiral? Is it leading me towards a better life? Am I going to feel better tomorrow for doing this? Or is it a downward spiral and I'm going to wake up feeling sorry that I did whatever I had done? And if you can change that downward spiral to an upward spiral, that's the first step. And it will be amazing if you can change your downward spiral for just a week. Just give it a week. See how you feel. You will feel markedly different. Markedly different. And then step 2, or actually step 1 probably, reconnect with Mother Earth. Mother Earth is remarkably regenerative. The system of the planet that we live upon is miraculous. Nature has redundancies for everything. So if one type of pollinator dies, there's another type of pollinator that can fill the role. Without nature, we are doomed. But the good news is that when you reconnect with nature in even the smallest way, it begins to shift who you are and how you feel about yourself and how you feel about the planet, which shifts your behaviors to things that are more beneficial for the planet we live on. When you reconnect with Mother Earth, she makes a lot of the changes for you. And that doesn't mean that we can all get in our cars or our RVs and go to the most beautiful places on earth. We need to let nature have her sacred places where she is undisturbed. And we can create nature right where we are. I'm in a very densely populated area. I'm 15 minutes from the Fort Lauderdale airport, and I have a complete garden. I grow so much food, and as I started to do this, I saw nature demonstrate her marvelous regenerative properties, because some of the native frogs and some of the native insects that I hadn't seen in a long time started coming back. And that brings me to bugs. I understand that it is not fun to be bitten by mosquitoes, and as the climate shifts, there are mosquito-borne diseases that are coming with that. But the damage that we do to the entire system by spraying or trying to eradicate any of the insects that are in the food chain is immense compared to mosquito-borne diseases. And just like quinine comes from a tree, there are plants that can help with anything that the insects bring us. Nature has a solution for everything, and while I'm not saying that you can be disease-free and live forever, I am promising you that when you live in harmony with nature and begin to eat real food grown regeneratively, it will change everything for you, everything. So what is regenerative gardening anyway? It's really simple. Instead of plowing and turning the earth and creating these neat little rows, we create gardens that are very, very diverse. A lot of different plants, because the more plants, the more variety of plants, the happier all the plants are. It's like going to a party when there were only 3 people, right? That's not much fun. But if you walk into a party and there's all these different people and you can learn and grow from each one of them, and they all have different points of view, that's a party. And that's the way the planet likes to do it. She wants to have a plant party. So what's a plant party? How do you have a plant party? You want to find the plants that are either native or grow really well in your area but are not invasive. You want to cultivate weeds that might be medicinal or edible. So dandelion comes to mind really easily, so does nettle. Down here we have cucamelon. So many weeds that are just like amazing. Dollar weed is a fabulous flavor. And then you have to feed the soil. You have to feed the system. A lot of our soils are deeply depleted from monocropping, pesticides, and chemical fertilizers. And the problem with all that is, without the soil web, which is the bacteria and the fungi that make up the soil web, the plants can't get what they need. So a plant will solve its own problem in a healthy soil network. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too far. But basically, anything that came naturally from planet Earth, such as compost, any sort of plant material. I compost my hair from my hairbrushes. Anything that came from the earth authentically can go back to the earth. And there's so many ways to do that, and there's so many books about that. I'll leave you to take that journey in your own local area. And that's the other thing, is it's important to learn from people locally. There is nobody nationally that can tell you exactly what to do in your specific area unless they are in your specific area. There's different conditions 50 miles away than where you are. So the more of us that come together and share knowledge and resources locally, the faster we can regenerate. And it's really amazing how many fabulous people you will meet through gardening. And even if you don't have a space, even if you don't have access to any piece of soil. There are 40,000 food bank gardens in the United States. There are community gardens everywhere. Find a place to get your hands into the soil, and that alone is a marvelous activity. You can also do an herb garden on a countertop almost anywhere. Those simple things are going to be a huge start for anyone who isn't eating directly grown food. Because even organic can be problematic. Some of the organic is monocropped. That's not to say you shouldn't eat organic, because organic food is better than conventionally grown food. But directly grown food, where you know that soil web is just healthy, and if it isn't in the soil, how can it be in your food? But if it's in the soil, it will get into your food and it will give you what you need. A lot of the toxicity, anxiety, and stress that I see are also due to a chronic deficit of micronutrients. And when you have a chronic deficit of micronutrients, the body prioritizes the functions of survival. It's gonna keep you alive, but chronic depletion of micronutrients means that a lot of the repair and regeneration inside your own body won't be happening. So it's the difference between if you're doing regular maintenance on your home or your car, or you wait for the roof to fall in or the engine to fall out and then you try to fix it. So this regular maintenance is really how the body is meant to work. So you can regenerate your own physicality and the planet at the same time. And as that happens, you will find that when you have power, when you have control over what is happening in your life, and you know that you are doing things that are contributing to the solving of some of the challenges that we're facing, it's going to make you feel a lot better. And that is also part of that upward spiral where you become a solution-based, vitally healthy, loving, living human being. And that brings me to talking to each other. 10% of people on this side and 10% of people on that side, on the extremes, are driving the conversations and the interactions. 80% of us in the middle agree on a lot of things. Stop doom scrolling and looking for reasons to blame all this on someone, something, because the reality is it's all a very complex result of a lot of different actions taken by humans over the past 50, 70, 100 years. And there is no one thing or no one party or no one person or no one policy that is responsible. And a lot of times we're blaming because we don't want to take responsibility for finding solutions. And the power is in you. It's not going to come from a politician. It's not going to come from a corporation. Those things will shift as we shift. We have the power. Change is coming. The question is the change going to be easy or hard? If we don't take our power and take action and begin to regenerate Mother Earth in any way we can, it's going to get harder and harder and harder. We can't sit in our air-conditioned houses, we can't live in our concrete jungles and expect that something is going to change. We're losing massive amounts of ecosystems to these fires and to the other impacts of climate change. We can't replace those old growth forests very easily, but what we can do is we can create gardens in our own yard. We monocrop enough turf grass to cover the state of Texas. And that turf grass, that lawn grass, does no good for us. It, other than being aesthetically pleasing, it is detrimental to our soils. We use pesticides, we use chemical fertilizers, all which are deeply detrimental to our environment, all to have a pretty lawn. Meanwhile, people are dying, the planet is suffering, and we're spewing all these toxins into the air as we mow it every week or however often. And I know that there's all sorts of problems around gardens versus lawns. But that's the thing. Business as usual isn't going to do it. We can't think that we're going to live on this planet the same way we have for the past 100 years and have a good outcome. We need to shift what we do and how we do it. And what could be easier or more enjoyable than being in the garden versus having the grid go down in a heat wave that kills people, right? We have options. We have lots and lots of options. And I want to say very clearly, I hope you don't agree with everything I'm saying, because that would mean that I'm preaching to the choir instead of opening hearts and minds. We're not all going to agree on anything, ever. But that's not the point. The point is to respect each other, to talk to each other, to go from here to here and make compromises that make everyone slightly unhappy. Standing on your side of the room and screaming at somebody on the other side of the room is the most ineffective strategy that there is. And the more of us that stop doing that, the less we will see it being pushed on us by people with agendas, right? And speaking of agendas, my agenda here is to get you to grow food, maybe buy a couple of my books, plant pollinator gardens, embrace and love Mother Earth, nurture and grow her wherever you can. That's my agenda. The other thing that I want to talk to you about is community. It becomes a lot easier to be hopeful when you are working with other fantastic people who are doing hopeful things. So we have a nonprofit in our area called The Caring Community. We are a 100% volunteer-run nonprofit that spends very little money and nobody gets paid except $200 a month for website and accounting stuff, you know, that kind of admin stuff. The good that we do is incredible. We have food bank gardens, we have teaching gardens, we have an initiative we call Gleaning for Good. We partnered with Society of St. Andrews, and in Florida, everyone, you know, there's mango trees and avocado trees and fruit trees everywhere, and so we have volunteers that go to these places where people donate that fruit. We pick it, we take it to food banks. Our small little volunteer organization in 2020 and 2021, our impact was 26,000 pounds of food either grown or gathered and taken to food banks. And the people that are in this organization are amazing, and there are so many incredible people who are looking to do good. So if you are a leader, then step up and do what you can locally. If you want to go to the caringcommunity.love, and if you want to look at what we do and how we do it, would love to have you copy us, or I'm glad to mentor anyone who wants to start doing things locally, wherever you are. And that's the thing. It's all about hope and action. Sitting on our couches being afraid of what's coming, creating more problems by activities that are detrimental to our health and to our planet to make us feel better for a moment, or waiting for some mysterious heroes to come and save us, are not strategies that are going to be effective in the times we're in. The planet has the answers. When you start listening to the planet, you will find everything you ever needed. I'll see you in the garden.